Hey, kia ora koutou whānau. How is everybody? Look at us. I think we're on YouTube. We're very excited, and I think we're on YouTube. I'm actually looking at myself on the screen over there from about 15 seconds ago, being on YouTube. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'll count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's about a 9-second delay. It didn't mean anything you guys needed to know. I seem to think that we are working. Well, we are working. Chewie's having troubles with his headphones. So he's off trying to get them sorted out right now. He will jump in as soon as he gets a second. Yeah, I know, Shane. I know. We all know who's your favourite. We know. Look, I get it. You don't need to rub it in my face. I get it. Now, firstly, one thing that's actually really important, and I've seen you've been talking in the chat about it already. I actually have to shut down that, because if I don't shut that down, I see myself 9 seconds later, is we don't talk about influential stuff on election day. I remember, you guys all know that I used to do the mid-dawn show on News Talk ZB, do the overnight show, and this was the worst show of the year to do. Absolute worst show of the year. So because you'd basically spend, 6 weeks, up to 3 months talking about the election every single night. And then at midnight on election day, which is when I started some of my shifts, you weren't allowed to say anything. And of course, all of the callers, that's all they wanted to talk about was that day's election. And the one topic that they wanted to talk about, you couldn't talk about. So it was absolutely the worst shift to do for the whole year. There was that one, and there was also the daylight savings one where clocks went back an hour, because in the middle of the night you got an extra hour to stay. The good thing was when the clocks went forward an hour, you got an hour off, but that's how it was. So listen, honestly, being real honest with you, this is really a test, because I had some concerns around YouTube, around what I can still see on my dashboard versus what I've been told versus what I've been received. And so that's primarily what this is, first and foremost. It's a test, and I'm watching us on YouTube right now. So it seems to be working. I'm watching us. Should I go into Twitter as well? Because what would be terrible is if we got it there tonight and all of a sudden we weren't going. Oh, I heard a little bleep. That might be the Tunmeister. And I'm watching us on. How's your headphones, brother? I'm just pedaling and waiting for you to get along here. And yep, we're on Facebook, and yep, we're on Twitch. We are everywhere. I can hear your microphone. Can you hear me, Chewie?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Woohoo! So I think we're all going. I'm watching us on YouTube. I've been honest with the good folk. I said primarily this wanted to test it just to make sure, and we're on YouTube. But I thought if anyone wants to, we can do a little AMA. We're only planning on being here for 20 minutes or so, and we've been doing this off and on. Well, we've been doing this for a couple of years now. Never ever have we done a public AMA. Which is we're calling it an AUA because it's Ask Us Anything. But if we were doing this because we wanted to test it, if you want to have any dying questions, you want to know about what we do, this could be a time to do that. And we've kind of looked like we've tested it. So really the rest, actually, wouldn't mind testing Discord as well. I put Discord in the link because we spent, me and Neon Mammals, who's in the chat sometimes, Jason, spent a couple of hours around here on Friday checking out the Discord. You might remember the last time we did Discord, it was a nightmare. So if someone wants to jump into the live call-in on Discord, and you could do it, someone could do an AMA, could ask us anything, and I'll just connect myself in there as well, by jumping into the live call-in, and we can take a Discord call, because we've set it up in a different way. Hopefully Chewie doesn't have to get into the Discord to be able to participate in Discord, yada, 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 yada.
That means no soundboard sound effects, I'm sorry.
Well, you might be able to still do it. I mean, so if you are, we've already put the link in the thing. Have you seen any questions coming up? Like I can see some questions there. Just mark them, Chewie, because I'm not watching, and we will answer a few questions. We're not going to be here for a long time. So if someone, this is actually you being helpful to us, because if Discord's working, then what we'll do tonight is we'll open up Discord. So there'll be me and there'll be Chewie. We've got a bunch of guests who have always said, they're gonna come along and drop in for 5 minutes. Yeah, Bomber said he'll drop in. Comedian Tim Batt, who's been on the show a few times, who I've done a lot of podcasting with, he's actually hosting the Greens official thing tonight, like for the Greens. He said he'll try and duck out and jump in and give us an update as to what's going on. Suze Wilson, the academic on leadership, said she'll duck in and say g'day. It's all pretty cool. It's all going to be fun. Well, Our part's going to be fun. The result may or may not be. Chewie, if you keep looking on questions coming in there, but Artie Farty, there's a couple actually, and Kooky have just dropped into the waiting room. So why don't we just test that now, and then we know if it's going or not. Because basically, if Discord's not working, we won't offer it tonight. If it is working, we'll go with it tonight. And this is also testing Chewie. You shouldn't have to get into Discord now for this to work. So let's go get Kooky, who was also a patron of ours, and say, g'day, Kooky Nick, turn your mic on and see if you can hear us, and we can say g'day to you. Are you there, mate? See, that's a bad sign already, isn't it? Try again, Kooky. Because the other thing we have to check, like I can't see your mic thing going up and down either. The other thing we have to check, let me try one more time. That's a bad sign already, isn't it? Yeah, see, that's the repeat coming back to us. Because the other thing we have to check, like I can't see your mic thing. That's me. Can you hear me coming back to me? The other thing we have to.
Oh, that's a big delay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me coming back to me. So I've turned that down. We've got Artie Farty over there as well. Kooky, I'm just going to put you back in the waiting room, and I'm going to pull Artie Farty across, and we'll see what we've got there. You just don't come on yet in there, Chewie, and we'll try with Artie Farty because this is what we tested yesterday. Are you there, Artie Farty? Oh no, Artie Farty might have taken themselves out of that. I'm going to drag Artie Farty into the live call in. Are you there, Artie Farty? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
I can. Chewie, what about you? Because you're not in Discord
Yeah,
right now.
I can hear you.
Talk to Artie Farty, Chewie.
So you can hear me there, Artie?
Yes, I can hear both you gentlemen. Kia ora,
Fantastic.
Kia ora. So the beauty of, unfortunately, Nick, thank you so much for your help, but there's something on your end. That was ironic that we're testing it, and it's something on Kooky's end that didn't actually work. Hey, Artie, you're helping us test the system. We really appreciate it. But whilst you're here, is there anything you want to know? Have you got an Ask Us Anything question?
Yeah, I'm curious to know. I don't know if this will be classified as, influential or whatever, but I know you guys are like lefties or whatever, whatever you want to call yourself.
Yep.
And I consider myself a lefty. And I've had my own experiences that has, like, when I was younger, I was a righty, so to speak. So I'm very curious to know that, have you had any life experiences that has gradually shaped and formed that sort of leftist philosophy on life in general?
It's a really interesting question. I'll have a think about it and throw it to Chewie first of all, because I have to have a think about that. But Chewie, what are your thoughts? Anything specifically that's happened in your life, or anything in your life in general, that's dragged you to the left? That's how I'm hearing that.
I think there's three main things that I can think of, and it's the fact that I grew up in a state house. When I was growing up, my mum worked off and on for the IRD, and my dad was a factory worker for McCain's, I think it was Waddies and McCain's, and I remember when I was probably about 8 or 9, there was a mass series of layoffs. So that would have been around 88, 89, and my dad was out of work for a long period of time. So at that point, I had a very good sense that the only reason I was eating was down to, benefit support, unemployment support, that sort of thing. And then the next big thing for me was my history teacher in 5th form. And he covered off a lot of early 20th century history, including the Russian Revolution. And so there was a big conversation around socialism there, the pros and cons. And then outside of that, I had a period of unemployment. I started off in radio, and it did not go well. And I had to go back to Timaru, and I was unemployed for a bit. Or no, not even unemployed, partially employed. And my interactions with WINS at that time, under, I believe, a national government at that point, was just dreadful. It was mean. It was cold. It was unsympathetic. So yeah, I guess those things that I can point to and go, yes, this is why I am the way I am.
Yeah.
Well, Chewie, I don't feel like I can really follow that, because I'm just like, it always seemed correct. I mean, I grew up in a Catholic household, My parents were definitely national voters. We weren't a particularly political household, but I knew who they voted for. I think there was something probably in my upbringing, and there's lots to criticize the Catholic Church about. Trust me, lots. But I think what was put into me also is that idea of public service and giving back. And the one thing Catholics do well is raise money and give it away. I'm not like saying they're all good, because they're not. But the one thing they do well is seem to be able to get money behind them and support causes. And I think that's just where I kind of saw, I guess, like social, I nearly said social engineering, but like social causes being outworked. My dad, whilst he was, how would I describe him? Middle class, middle management, Pākehā in New Zealand. There was something like he would get involved in every charity he could. He was in Make-A-Wish Foundation. He was in Rotary, and they always went out fundraising. He always supported the book clubs, all that kind of stuff. That was a part of his makeup. When I was speaking at his funeral, like 3 or 4 months ago, it was like the thing about Dad was he was always there to help. Like, he helped everybody. There's people that in our extended family who sort of have gone on to become very financially successful. But one of the only reasons they've had that opportunity is Dad financially supported them in their young, like, marriage lives and that kind of stuff. And so that sort of was his heart. But I guess from the era he was born in 1940, he was conservative. So I've always sort of seen that all my life. And I guess I remember voting in the first MMP election. And I wasn't really very politically active, but I remember just going, this Green Party, like, I don't know too much about them, but how can a different perspective within government be a bad thing? Like, we've got these heritage brands who've always been around, but why don't I vote for these guys? Because how can having more than just your standard perspectives be anything but good? And that, I guess, was the kind of starting point of me. So it wasn't anything kind of highfalutin or very well thought out, but that sort of started me off. And like, as I've gone through life, I mean, it sounds really patronizing if you're on the right and you're watching this, but it seems that everything that's intelligent sort of sits on the left to me, like well thought out ideas. Pardon me, well thought out ideas. Going one level down. I used to love working on News Talk ZB. I used to love talking to the punters, and I was always of the opinion, I still am, if I disagree with you but I understand where you're coming from, we can agree to disagree. If I disagree with you and you can't actually explain your position, then you're just a fucking moron. And so often, and we see it still today, like if you're looking at the MAGA movement or whatever, so often when you push one scratch below people who are voting on the right, they have nothing. You push one scratch below people on the left who are voting. I mean, it might only be one scratch. I'm not saying they can go into the history of everything like Chewie can, like he just did, but they have more substance to why they're doing what they're doing. They're more thoughtful. They're less reactionary. And they typically look at issues. And this is where I think Labour's potentially made a mistake. Got to be careful. We're not making any influence here. Because the right has this thing of simple solutions to complex issues. The left seems to try and find solutions for complex issues, which don't seem to have such a good bumper sticker. But actually, if you stop and think about it and scratch one step deeper, are the ways that it will work. I guess that's my very short, long-winded answer.
Thanks, guys.
Is that all good?
That.
Oh,
No worries.
Thanks so much for you. Appreciate it. And thank you so much for helping us test out Discord. That was brilliant. Well done.
I think from what you're saying there, Pat, again, the simple solutions to complex problems, I think you can compare to, you can see those two styles playing out, right? If we think of a particular Regal person that I admire, her explanations always involve how they link in with other issues.
As I was driving here to Breakfast Show reading the latest research.
Yeah, but it'll be like, well, we have this problem because we have this problem because we have this problem. So we need something that will solve all of those things.
Yeah.
And then the other team comes in and goes, well, we just need a good old-fashioned crackdown. and that's it. And it's very much a singular focus, like a nail. It's not necessarily fixing.
Yeah.
anything.
They get a bumper sticker. They get the media to repeat it. And look, that's what we've been doing for the past 6 months. And RNZ demonstrated a couple of weekends ago, that the media has been repeating. And I won't say any of them because, look, nothing's going to happen to us, but I don't want any risk at all of influencing our live stream tonight. But, the media will influence a certain particular policy from a certain particular party. And then that becomes the truth. And then that becomes a slogan, and then people repeat it. I guess going back to my Catholic upbringing, you see it in the church. Maybe that's a safer way of doing it, rather than talking about politics. I don't want to talk about politics right now in a way that could be deemed as influencing. But the priest from at the front of church says this is the law, this is the rules. The priest might be or the vicar or the pastor or the whatever might be well versed, might know all the history, might do entomology and exegesis and all this kind of stuff into where that's come. But he gives a headline. And then the congregation just repeat the headline, but they know nothing behind it. I see that a lot.
May the force be with you.
Yep. All right. Questions? There's some questions in the stars there, aren't there? What do people got?
We have a question from Felix Ducat. I have a question for Chewie. Do you do voice acting? I swear I heard you on an ad recently. It would have to be a very, very old recorded ad. I have heard my voice come up on local radio down here. From an ad that they have been recycling since 2002.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember what it is. It's probably something that I absolutely hate as well, like a car yard or something. But no, I haven't done any professional voice work since I was a copywriter for Radio Works Otago, where we would all just clock off the tools at 2:00 and voice the ads that were written for that week while having a few sneaky beers in the booth.
Yeah, very good. All right. Any other questions there? I've got a couple other people in the chat we can go and talk to as well, like in the Discord.
Yeah, I've got a couple of comments from the previous question.
Yep.
Kim says, I was a national voter. Both my parents were farmers. Then quickly got shaped quickly working in the health system at age 21, seeing lots of poverty, but also with a Christian upbringing as well. Yeah, it's once you get out from mum and dad's house, out from under their wings, and start maybe thinking for yourself a bit, your views can change quite dramatically.
Yeah, I think also probably when I went to university, I was the first kind of group of people going through without free education. That's always stuck in my core about the people who were changing the rules in Parliament, who were also the people who had gone through with the free education system.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty big, probably influencing factor. Actually, that probably was. If I was looking to an actual moment, that was probably the biggest thing that started to get me thinking about politics, and that was that.
Yeah, just that pulling the ladder up after you.
Yeah,
really triggers the fairness gland going, that's not right.
I've been listening to. I know that people think that Joe Rogan is an abomination, and I think a lot of the time he is. But what I do with Joe Rogan is I look through his guests, and if I see a guest I like, I listen sometimes. And Jimmy, his name's just jumped out of my head.
Savile.
Yeah, he was just on. 8 out of 10 cats. Yada yada yada. Comedian, English comedian. It's just jumped out of my head completely. Jimmy Carr. There you go. Came back. Jimmy Carr did an episode last week, so I've been listening to it. And Jimmy Carr was talking about the English education system, about how he went through it when it was free, and now it's not. And he said, worst decision any country's ever made. What could be better than a educated population? And they came to a conclusion together, these two comedians talking, that they were like, maybe what should have happened or what could happen is you can reduce the numbers of people. If you can't afford it, you can make the entry for free education be a bit higher, or you can have a few fewer people going through. But they're talking about, it's different in the States because you can't get away from because they have interest as well. There are people who are retired getting retirement payments, still paying for their education, that sort of thing. And just to lumber 18-year-olds and 20-year-olds with that kind of debt, I don't see how anyone thinks that's a good idea. And what are the parties that want to get rid of that free first year of tertiary education? There's a couple of the parties that want to get rid of that, but National doesn't. So if they were to get over the line tonight, that's a good thing. Sorry. Anyway, any other questions?
Not a question, but another really good comment. During my this is from during my research, I interviewed a guy. He said he was a libertarian until.
How did you say that name? Sorry, what was the name?
He said he was a libertarian until he did MDMA and realized that other people have feelings, and that's pretty much the best summary of libertarianism I ever heard. The best phrase that I have heard when it comes to people that are libertarians is that they always think they're going to be the Lord and never the serf. You know, they always think they're going to come out on top. They always think that they're going to be the tough guy. They always think that they're never going to need anybody else's help. And that is just an incredibly sheltered, lonely worldview.
The other thing about libertarians, and when I was working at ZB, I used to talk to Rodney Hyde quite a bit as a guest. And Rodney Hyde would always say, I always vote for what brings freedoms, never acknowledging that sometimes when you bring freedom to one group of people, you by definition can oppress another group. So it's like, actually, the idea of always bringing freedoms doesn't necessarily work, because it can impact other groups and other people. So then how do you bring freedom to them? You've got to vote a different way. But that might impact another group of people. Then how do you bring freedom to them? So it's libertarianism. I think it's quite cowardly, actually, to be honest. It also means you can have no thought, behind what you do. You can just put some kind of blanket statement over it saying freedom and think that it's covered. And who can challenge freedom, Chewie? Because we all want freedom, don't we? So if you challenge it, obviously you are an evil. What are we at the moment? Are we communists or are we Marxists? I always forget. I have to check with Twitter to see what we are.
We're cucks.
Okay.
Like libertarianism is so cooked. Like if you think about just something really big, like say a big disaster, like a typhoon comes and takes out your whole town, or an earthquake or something like that, or a big war. Libertarian ideals fall apart at that point. You have to pull together and do things. And nobody's going to go out and build a hospital out of the goodness of their own heart as a libertarian. It just doesn't work. It's like what you're saying, like right-wing ideals, you push on them a little bit and they fall apart.
Right. I'm just reading in the Discord someone saying this video is no longer available due to a copyright claim by Television New Zealand. I'm just going to go back and have a look over our feed to make sure that we're, because that's the other thing. We were taken down off Facebook, not directly because of TVNZ, but they had an algorithm over the whole of Facebook to stop any of their footage being. No, we're still on Facebook from the looks. You should check as well, remember, because last time I could see us on Facebook, and you could
just jumping over now.
Just to double check, we're just looking for tonight. I mean, there's probably not much we can do. We're still everywhere. There's where's my Discord gone? Too many windows on the dance floor. Too many windows on the dance floor. Should we have a chat with Tim in the Discord? And then someone's asked a question about the plan for tonight. We might just kind of spell that out a bit, and then we might head off because I think we've done all our testing. All right, Tim, put your mic on.
Facebook looks fine, Pat.
All right, put your mic on, Tim, as we bring you across here, mate. Hello, Tim. Come in, Tim, to Beard Central.
You order Beard Central. Can you guys?
I can hear you, Chewie.
Yep, can hear you.
And we want to check the chat. Gives us a thumbs up. They can hear you too, Tim. What's up, brother?
Oh, just wanted to shout you guys out. Just been a viewer for about a month.
Nice.
Yeah, just found you guys got suggested on the old YouTube, saw a thumbnail and clicked on. Should be an easier question for me to answer. For you guys to answer.
Sure.
Who do you guys have winning the rugby tomorrow morning?
Oh, Chewie should take that one. He's the rugby expert. Chewie, do you want to have a go?
What are they? The lionfish versus the carpet
banana
sharks?
Boxes. Yeah, the banana boxes.
The banana boxes. Yeah, I lock up when it comes to sport. No idea.
It's a quarterfinal, Ireland versus All Blacks.
So I'll tell you what's going to happen. Chewie, you're louder than me. We're getting told in the chat as well. So maybe you want to bring the mic level down a bit. So this is the first World Cup there's ever been that if the All Blacks perform to their peak, like the best game they can play, they may still lose. Because if Ireland plays as best they can play and the All Blacks play the best they can play, Ireland can still win. And this is the first time I think the All Blacks have ever faced this. I tell you what I think is going to happen, Tim. I'm not going to pick a winner because I genuinely don't know. But I think what you're going to see, Chewie, you'll love this because you'll be down with this in a second. is the game that was the first game of this year, All Blacks versus South Africa, where the All Blacks brought out a totally different style of play where they did lots of kicking, lots of bombing, and they kept it in touch. They didn't kick for touch, and they just applied pressure via the kick. You haven't seen that again this year. I think that was them trying out the system, and I think you're going to see it on Saturday morning's game. And if it works, All Blacks will win. Okay, there you go. I'll say the All Blacks will win, but if they don't win, it's going to be no surprise if they don't win. But I'll still pick them. So that's what I think. I think they'll play a kicking game. I think they'll play a kicking game, and I think it'll be similar to the first game against South Africa this year. And I think that's almost maybe why we haven't seen it again. They gave it a crack, they saw it worked, and they're going to bring it back for this game. That's what I think.
I also agree that I think one or both of the teams will use their legs at some point.
What do you reckon, Tim? What's your pick?
Oh, honestly, I'm not thinking too great on the ABs this time. I think we're going to get demolished. But, it's one of those ones that, if you have any bets with friends, you always pick Ireland to win, because then if All Blacks win, you're happy because you're through to another round. And if Ireland wins, you make a bit of money.
Yeah, I used to do that. I used to bet against my own team for that exact reason when I was doing Super Rugby stuff. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, so that's Saturday morning. So really the election is just a build up to the Ireland game. I have to tell you something else, though, Chewie. Pat, family name out of Ireland is Mulligan. I literally could have been Paddy Mulligan. Not just saying, because I've got family name is Mulligan. Could have been Paddy Mulligan. My mum passed in 2018, and if Ireland get up and win, there's a part of me that'll be like, I'm just like, I can't lose on Saturday morning. I really can't. I mean Sunday morning. I really can't, because if they get up and they do it, if Ireland do it, then it's like, you guys will do this for my mum. And if the All Blacks get up, it'll still be my team going there. So that's how I feel. All right. So this has been brilliant. It's worked really, really well. And I think I've got one other question, which is about tonight, Chewie. Is there anything else that you've seen that you particularly want to just identify?
No, I think we're good.
And I have also discovered one thing. There is an echo on one of my channels when we're using Discord. I'm going to exit myself out of Discord right now, and then I'm going to put that fader back up and make sure it goes away, because that'll be the reason. And I'm going to put that fader back up. My channels, and there is still a pretty big echo. And then I'm going to put that fader back up and make sure it goes away.
Yeah,
which is not good. And there is, because that is the channel that I play all my videos off. So there's something in the system that's not quite right there. What are we at? 28 minutes in. I might be making a phone call to this is what we're testing this for. Yep. So I'm getting an echo back on that channel. All right. That's good. That's for me to figure out. That's nothing we can do now. Shall I go to the last question, or is there anything else you want to get to? Because the last question is about what we're doing tonight.
Yep. No, I would also like to know that.
Okay. So Judge Rock Pino, what is the format tonight and what time? Well, everything on my end's working, except there seems to be a problem with that channel to do with playing audio and video back, which means, Chewie, if I can't sort that out, you will be in charge of that tonight. It'll be your end to do, crossing to places and stuff. Our plan is to be here at 7 o'clock, a couple of minutes before 7 o'clock maybe. That is when the polls close, the booths close. What is it called? The voting closes. And there'll be like a flurry of results, because they are counting votes now. So there will be an initial flurry of votes. I have also invited most people who have participated in some of the commentary over the last 6 months, including academics like Suze Wilson, including contributors like, who have we had? Bomber and David Slack and Simon Wilson and those guys. And what I've just done is I've just basically sent them an email and said, this is the link you need to connect. Send me a text if you want to come in for 5 minutes. We'll see you tomorrow night. I haven't done a lot of checking or booking. I've heard back from a few people saying, yeah, they'll come and say good day. Jeremy Elwood, I sent it off to him as well. Actually, I won't say too many names, because if they don't turn up, we don't want any flack for them. And look, the one thing I think is a pretty safe prediction about tonight is I don't think there'll be a result. And if there's not a result, let me just try this. Hang on a sec. If there's not a result, I don't think there'll be a result. It's funny hearing me again.
That's a big delay.
And if there's not a result, let me just try this. Hang on a sec. Put a fader down. I'm just going to try something else. I don't think. No, okay. And if so because of that, we've sort of decided we'll come for a couple of hours. I mean, TVNZ, TV3, ZB, RNZ, they'll probably be going till midnight, 1 a.m. I think that after a couple of hours, we'll have a pretty clear idea as to whether it's going to be a win or a loss, a win or a blowout, or a close call. And once we know that, there won't be much change through the rest of the night. I guess if there's something dramatic, I mean, we can just choose to jump on tomorrow night and do something. But tonight for a couple of hours, hanging out from 7 o'clock and then back again Monday night, I think that's pretty much the plan, Chewie. Is that what you're hearing?
I think Spinoff had a pretty good breakdown of the timeline. Is, you know, there's over 1 million people that have done advance votes. So as soon as the polls close at 7 o'clock, then they all come live.
Yeah.
So you get a really good sample size of more than 1 million votes counted straight away.
Yeah.
And then they were saying, you know, look, I think last time, because it was such a landslide for Labour, that almost at 7:20, they were going, yep, cool, Labour's got this. And that was no surprise. I think this time, because it's going to be so close, we're not going to have that. I think it's really going to come down to, you know, some key seats and yeah, it'll go late into the night, I think.
Yeah. I think it won't just go late into the night. I think it'll go over the next few weeks. I'm just texting my tech person. Got an echo. You got some time? Question mark.
Yeah.
Listen, the most important thing
it's the negotiations and stuff as well. You know, I think all we really want to know is red or blue. And then the shape of the coalition will come from there, I guess.
I saw a text from Bomber yesterday saying last poll had Labour on 30%. I didn't know. To be honest, I was working on studio stuff, so I didn't see a lot of the news, but it will be on 30%. I've seen one text in my Twitter feed saying, I wonder if it'll get stolen again this year like it did last year. Last time. But only one, which I think is pretty good. It might be my ecocosm. Mind you, on Twitter, pretty much the front page of Twitter is now an alt-right, right-wing. Your For You page is pretty much that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an argument generator. Look, New Zealand Loyal, Freedoms Party, all of those guys have been soft selling to various degrees the fact that there will be corruption, there'll be broken voting machines. Liz Gunn said that, I think. But yeah, she thinks she's going to get 30% of the vote. She's in for a rough night.
But the good thing about it is because she's only going to get 0.3% of the vote, even if all of those people believe that, it's not a big sample size. Like in America, if it's 20% of Republicans believe that, that's a very different situation than, 3% of the people who vote for Liz Gunn, which is only another 3%, well 0.3% of the population, so. All right, we're going to wrap this up. I've already texted my boy. He's going to join me in a second. And other than that, we will see you guys tonight, sorry. I nearly went to the patter of 9 p.m. We'll see you tonight from 7.
I probably don't need to say this. I'm going to say it anyway. There's 100 people in the chat now. You've all voted right. You've all done it, right?
We won't say who you should vote for, obviously.
No,
but we
just
will say get out and vote.
Just go and vote. I just want, someone sitting there going, oh, shit. Disconnected from chat.
I actually have to say I drove down the main street in the area that I live, and I saw 2 schools both having voting booths, and I kind of went, something quite nice about doing it on the day. We were talking about this last night. Something quite nice about doing it on the day. I think next time, I think I'll do it on the day. How's that Alf Rose in there? G'day, Alf. How are you, mate? So if you haven't done it yet, go do it. Go make your vote for whoever you need to make it for. And we will see you tonight from 7 p.m. All good, Chewie?
All good.
Oh, I know what I nearly did?
Potato.
I nearly showed some merch, but that could have been seen as influencing, so I won't show that particular piece of merch that I'm wearing under my hoodie right now.
Straight to jail.
Yeah, won't do that. Just vote for whoever you need to vote for. We'll see you tonight from 7 p.m. Thanks, team. Be safe. See you back here tonight. Hooroo.